ready when you are. Absolutely.
There's them all in the same book.
Yeah.
And producer Katie Susie is ready and poised. Today's confession comes from Deborah Debs McTavish. Which makes her sound a little bit like a gangster.
Yeah.
Took her a while to think up the nickname. Anyway, Deb says, Father Simon and the Collective, I would like to seek forgiveness for an incident which happened back in the mid-80s when I was 18 years old. Every 2 weeks, my boyfriend and I would take it in turns to make the 4-hour journey to see each other. I lived in Colchester, he lived in Sheffield.
Wow.
I would catch the train on a Friday after work, first to London's Liverpool Street, then on to Sheffield via St Pancras. The trains were always terribly crowded, with passengers having to travel standing up, wedged between the seats. One particular Friday, I was very tired, having been out with friends the night before. By the time I got to St Pancras, the train was already rammed, and I struggled to get on and find a space to stand. Like an opening for a song. It was a very warm evening, and everyone on board was hot, and everyone was very sticky. As the train started to move, I felt a huge wave of tiredness sweep over me, and my eyelids started to droop. Feeling desperate, I asked the man in the seat next to me if it would be okay if I perched on his armrest for a few minutes. He didn't need it, he had a whole seat. All I wanted was his armrest, and to my huge relief, he agreed. Now, I don't actually remember much after that until I heard a gentle voice say, "Excuse me, I need to get off now." I opened my eyes. I was horrified to discover that I was snuggled up against this man. I was curled up and cuddling this man's chest.
Oh, no.
Apparently I had nodded off and fallen into his lap. My arm wrapped around his. Presumably I was thinking of my Sheffield boyfriend. To make matters worse, as he got up, I noticed he had a big wet patch on his top where I had drooled on him in my sleep.
Fabulous.
All my dribble was there. My fellow passengers who'd obviously been watching developments with interest cheered and clapped when I woke up.
Brilliant.
I was so embarrassed. I must have looked a dreadful sight with my hot, flushed face, eye makeup running, and one side of my hair all pushed up. The man got his bag down from the overhead rack, then spent a few moments rubbing his legs and stamping his feet as he tried to get his circulation going again. I was aghast. I said, "I'm so sorry," and he smiled weakly and got off the train. Years later, I still feel guilty about my feeble apology. A simple sorry is no compensation for 2 hours of dead legs and a saliva-soaked onward journey. I hope there weren't any "What's this stain on your jacket?" questions necessitating. It was a girl on the train. Because that wouldn't have worked very well. It is therefore only appropriate that I seek forgiveness through the official channels. Father Simon, Sister Katie Susie, Brother Matthew, and the poor unfortunate man I squashed flat, I humbly beg your forgiveness. Incidentally, for those of you believing karma, about 10 years ago, I was on the train travelling back from a meeting when a man fell asleep on me. His head lolled from side to side and eventually settled on my left shoulder. Paralysed with guilt from my previous experience, I allowed his head to remain there. It wasn't until he got off that a kindly passenger pointed out that I now had a big wet patch on my blouse. Enough said.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I think there will be a lot of people who relate to this particular confession and will have suffered and struggled in a similar way to Deborah Debs McTavish for a story of falling asleep on a stranger and then dribbling on his jacket, leaving a wet patch. But I like the idea of everyone else, the fellow passengers, applauding because they'd been thinking, this is going to be interesting. When she wakes up, let's see what's going to happen. Sister Katie Susie.
Yeah, do you know what, Debs? I'm going to forgive you for multiple reasons. Firstly, I've been on that train line from Essex to London many a time, and it's so busy. So just from the get-go, you're standing up. I feel sorry for you. You were polite enough to ask to use his armrest. I think that's, very good of you, very kind. And also, You gave everyone entertainment. They were probably really hot on that train too, wanted to get to their destination, and you gave them something to laugh and cheer about. So, Debs, you're forgiven.
Very good. Brother from another
She
gutter.
wasn't sat on the armrest, was she? She was just using it as a rest.
Well,
I think-
just to lean on. Because
she said she wanted to perch on his armrest.
I had a vision of her sitting on the armrest. That can't be very good. I mean, good for her for getting to sleep if you're sitting on an armrest, because it's not very comfortable.
Anyway, she then keeled over into the man's lap.
Quite right. Let he who has not fallen asleep on a train and ended up with their head lolling onto some stranger cast the first stone. That's right.
Really? That's
because
you,
we've
is
all
it?
done it. We've all done it. And maybe we've had a few drinks and maybe we've got on the train and missed our stop and then ended up in a stranger's lap. So for that reason,
And that's
I
how you met
choose
Mrs.
Yes. The good lady wife.
Okay.
Oh,
So you're
yes.
forgiving, are you?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.